He's looking as if he's just come straight away for the Green Brigade.
Aye, with a meeting at 6:30, mate.
Yes, and we're back with a Celtic Unrestricted View. My name is Ryan Clifford, and we've got a bumper podcast tonight with the three amigos. My name's Ryan, joined by Ada, JP and Jason. Well, the rise and fall of Celtic's youths, Jack and Marcus leaves, and we're still -9. It's Baltic. We've all got hoodies on because it's absolutely freezing. Start with yourself, Ada. Thanks for joining us, mate. How are you?
Aye, not bad, mate. Aye. So, thanks for having me on, first and foremost.
No worries, mate. We're glad to have you on.
No problems, mate.
You're a TikTok star, mate, so it's good to have you on. As I says, mate, the big Celtic fan like us. Just start off with yourself, mate. How did you get involved supporting the Hoops, and what's your earliest memory watching Celtic?
I think it's the same for me, isn't it? I was brought up that way. My dad was right into it before he ended up spitting wains out, and just brought up. I'm a Celtic fan. Going back earliest memory, I think the first game I remember, if I can remember, it must have been about 92. It was I was only maybe 5 or 6. I think we played Aberdeen 1-0. John Collins scored at Celtic Park. I think that's the first game. I don't know if I was at any before that, but that's the first game I really remember. And then even after that, I don't remember much. The next game I really remember after that would have been the semi-final against Hibs. That we played at that other mob's ground because we couldn't get into Hampden at the point. And we finished not in each. It was one of the semi-finals that went to replay. That was it, the one we finished 0-0, and then we played them again a few days later, I'm sure. 2-1 or 3-1, I'm sure. And I think that was the Scottish Cup where we beat Airdrie in the final, big Hoydonk.
That obviously, JP, you're a bit obviously older than me to remember many that says here, but I think obviously, no worries, mate. I'm a young pup here. For me, obviously, you hear the Hoydonk stuff like Ada says here. They guys were exceptional. I'm guessing mentioning guys like that, mate, will bring some memories back for yourself.
Definitely. On you go, Ada. If you want to say something else, on you go. You sure?
No, I think so.
All right, okay. That team was unbelievable. One of the most unlucky Celtic teams I ever remember, to be honest. Especially the football we played on Tommy Burns. But with a great, as Ada says, with the John Collins, he was just one of many great players that played in that era. You'd Van Hooijdonk. And obviously, Big Van Hooijdonk came before, like say, Di Canio, Cadet. So he was on the team before them. And then obviously, before that, I mean, you'd Paul McStay as well, who was just a constant throughout, the team, man. Greatest player I've ever. Like, people say, who's the star man? He's the greatest ever, in my opinion, so far, to play for Celtic. Growing up as a young boy watching Celtic, he was the main man. Although he broke my heart that time, he put a boy at a bar at Ibrox against Raith Rovers in the Cup. That's my earliest memory I've seen Celtic. But no, definitely. I remember my dad was nearly greeting that day. Because that would have meant a lot to go through, to win that. Because that was a spell for the club, Ryan. Obviously, you're on a pup, mate. You'll not remember us, but it was a spell for a pup. Like the younger generation nowadays will not probably remember us, but Celtic weren't as successful as what you see now. Never near it, in fact, actually 90 day. And it was a spell we were going through that. Obviously, way back then, little did we know there was a big in the attack saving in Govan. So, obviously, that was the start of their spending out within their means, etc. And paying players money that, obviously, Hector wasn't privy to at the time. So, as I say, but then obviously it grew and grew and grew. And their money just became right out of control. And obviously, we spent within our means and tried to bring in quality. That was that time, I remember Celtic nearly signed David Ginola.
Mm-hmm.
and we nearly got Emmanuel Petit. David Ginola was seconds away from putting a signature to the paper, and Newcastle came in at the last minute and took him. But no, as I say, I do think if Tommy Burns would have got the players, he was linked with other players as well, and he went for other players, but I do think if he managed to get him, I do think he would have still have overturned that Rangers side at the time. But no, a lot of good memories, but a lot of bad memories at the same time, mate.
And obviously yourself, Jason, glad to have you back on me. How are you?
I'm alright, mate. Aye, a wee bit of the cold, but we'll get there. Do you know what I mean?
You get that man flu again.
Oh, mate, honestly, man, brutal. My earliest memory. Well, I'm only 32, so.
Great age, by the way. Great age.
That's a good age, mate. I remember when Larson scored the goal against St Johnstone to stop 10 in a row. That was my earliest. I remember sitting watching with my dad watching that. That was my earliest memory. I think that was Wim Jansen, the only season he did.
Off you're only a Wayne, man.
But I've heard about, my dad spoke about the Liam Brady and all that, and Noah McCarries and all that. I briefly remember John Barnes coming in and all, but I've tried to erase that from my memory because the less we said about that, the better. No, I must admit, I've been quite, in my time supporting Celtic, I've been quite spoiled. I've not really remembered much. The only really bad one I remember was when we lost the league, Martin O'Neill's last season, when we lost the league when Scott McDonald scored the 2 goals at Fir Park.
Mm-hmm. That's the only bad time, your earliest memory of bad times. My God, you're
and obviously losing in Seville. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've just got a wee comment, guys, before we go any further. I'm glad I wasn't alone there and somebody's backed me up there for a wee change. Tim Annan actually says, Ginola was on the pitch getting shown around at the time. The stadium was being developed. Cheers for that, Tim, and cheers for tuning in also.
I think there was photos of that winter, kind of basically there, and like you say, I think it's happened in not just Ginola, with Tommy Burns. I think it's happened in general. Some guys have been closely signing, and obviously we're in a better position now. You hear bits of information, you hear guys who are shooting maybe at Celtic and they've no care, and you're thinking, right, what went on there?
I think they offered him an extra bottle of shampoo or something at shower gel. It was something dead close that scuppered the deal.
To be fair, by the way, I wish I had his there because I'm 29, my hair's a bit gone, man. So,
29?
Aye.
Mine's just gone grey, but that's what Wayne's day to you, innit?
He's 29, man. He looks like he was in Davy Weir's class at school.
Listen, I'm a baby to tea, right? I'm off. But I think, obviously, talking about obviously players who are rising and falling, the podcast, obviously, Ada, is maybe it's all about the youths. Maybe guys who have started off with potential at Celtic, and we're all thinking, right, this guy's going to be very good, and they've just faltered. Starting off, Ada, how do you think maybe some guys rise up quickly and then they fall, and some guys just don't kind of get to the potential they should have? Why do you think that is personally? Because there's maybe a lot of reasons, family reasons, managers, coaches, attitudes, there's loads of reasons, but is there anything you think internally for yourself, mate, that you think we could do better, and why these guys maybe don't really get to the potential they should get to?
I'd say, before Ange came, and I'm going back years and years, the youth sort of played on their own. They had their own system, they had their own styles, but they're playing against people, not the same calibre, but they're at the same development stage and how they do things, and when they try and take that step up, it's completely different. And I think that's what's different under Ange is like, doesn't matter where you are, what system you're in, if you're in the under-17s, if you're in the B team, doesn't matter, you play the Celtic style of football. So that when you're making that step up, nothing changes apart from the players you're playing with. And that's where I think a lot of players have faltered when you look at it, like, and obviously you get these players who are like wonder kids, like your Dembele's, or going to be wonder kids, your Dembele's, your Islam Farouz and players like that. And I think they just see the lights and they believe their own hype, and it just 9 times out of 10 it goes south for them. Know what I mean?
I think JP, like Ada says, they're 2 guys that they're always going to get spoken about. I think in terms of guys who could have been. Obviously, Dembele, he made it to the first team, made the odd appearance. So, but by the hype about him, we've spoke to some people, and apparently when he was 15, 16, they're the best they've ever seen at that age. He was phenomenal. He was doing Tory Glen, ripping people new arses, and just been superb. A brilliant young player. Why do you think guys like that, JP? I know for me, Ferruz was probably maybe today with the money side going to Chelsea, and like Ada says, he's seen the lights. He's maybe not been managed properly. Somebody's not told his family maybe what Celtic can give him, and they've just seen the lights. See, if you make it to Celtic, you know yourself, lads, you can make money at Celtic. You don't need to go to Chelsea, Man U right away to get money. If you do well at Celtic, the money will come if you work hard and earn your trade. So, what do you think, JP, of how maybe guys like that of when doing, I don't want to say downhill, they're still going to big clubs and maybe done well in some capacity, but why do you think some of you guys, they too have not reached the potential? Well, obviously Ferruz is just finished and the Belly's still playing, but
Ferruz is done it. He's fucking selling hats now or something.
Aye.
27-year-old and that's unwrapped it, man.
Aye.
In terms of what Ada was saying there, years ago, he is right. Years ago, they didn't have like the reserve league played in the reserve league, and the reserve football was totally different from the first team football. They weren't playing like the same way as the first team. I would say probably for Ronnie Delia, that kind of changed, and he implemented that early doors. He wanted the youth players to be playing the same way, etc. But in terms of Dembele and Ferruz, I like it's down to mismanagement, Ryan. I think the guys that are obviously looking after him are advising him incorrectly or wrongly. First and foremost, because right away, the young boys, but when you dangle carrots in front of these young boys, Ryan, and you say to them, look, I'll let you drive a big Mercedes or right away when these boys are 17 and 18. What you got to do? I mean, you're 17 and 18, a guy comes to you and says, right, I think you've got talent, but so do this team, and I want you to go to this team because they're going to give you this, they're going to give you that, they're going to put you in a big pad, they're going to, all right, you might flat share with somebody for a wee while, but then it becomes yours, or you move into another big pad that then is yours, and I think a lot of these boys' heads are turned pretty early. Obviously, these boys have now learned a very harsh lesson that, it's a big bad world out there, and unless you're willing to knuckle down and really work hard, then you'll fall by the wayside. Doesn't matter how talented you are. If you're talented, but you still need to work at it, you still need to train, you still need to develop your own body, you need to develop your own game, skills, everything that comes to being a footballer. You need to eat well, you need to live well, you need to... It's not just a case of putting boots on and running onto a pitch. Years ago, when we played football, we played fives or whatever, you just go in the park and play and then you come off. Nobody does any stretching, but everything's all programmed now, it's all set out. And it's all following a schedule. And if you don't do that, then, like I say, you'll fall by the wayside. But 9 times out of 10, I think a lot of these boys are mismanaged. I think a lot of these agents now just see pound signs and just see themselves making a few quid, moving these boys on. Doesn't matter. But I'm really surprised at the boy Dembele, Ryan. I really am, because Celtic spent a lot of time and effort with the boy. They brought him in for, I can't mind it. Was it Tory Glen he played for?
I don't know. I've just heard, obviously through different people, that they've seen him play down Tory Glen.
If anybody's watching and knows anything to do with his early career, especially before Celtic, can you comment in? Because it's annoying me now, and I do know the team as well. Because one of my good friends for school, he was part of the coaching. No, it wasn't Harmon Rowe. Just no. As soon as somebody says the name, I'll remember it. But it's escaped me just talking about it now. And that's annoying because one of my good friends for school, I'll not name his name on here, but he was part of the coaching set up in there, and he remembers Karamoko when he was a nipper sort of thing growing up. So I'm really surprised with that one. He's kind of disappeared now. He's been out to France and it's not went too well. I think a lot of his appearances have been off the bench, and calling me what I'm hearing, it's not went as well as he maybe thought it was going to. Maybe he thought moving to a different country would probably help him and fresh start, etc. But for what I'm hearing and what I've read, he's not get going. And it's a shame as well because he'd all the tools to be a top player. And you see him, all the videos that Celtic put out and all the videos that he's put out on social media about him. There we go. Somebody's put it on the comments for his boys. It was Bart Villa.
Villa.
Aye. So, cheers, Ross. Thanks, mate. Cheers for listening in as well, mate.
You just don't know who's listening. See?
No, that's it. But that's why I asked, because I knew somebody on here would have been able to help. I know I'm really good.
That's my big pal, Ross. I welcome all that boy, man.
Oh, do you know him? Aye.
Aye.
Right, okay. So thanks very much, Ross, for listening in. But yeah, as I say, it's just a shame now. The boy has went on and he's not done as probably Celtic projected from him. But I think a lot of it, Ryan, overall, is to do with mismanagement, more to do with the players' attitudes, etc. Because I think if us as fans, we just go, you've just seen pound signs, you wee so-and-so, and a wee you go then, a wee like, grass isn't green on the other side. It's easy for us to say that. We don't know what goes on behind the scenes and we don't know what's happening in terms of the boy's life. So, could be a number of reasons, but 9 times out of 10, looking for a distance, mate, if you know football, you know that some of these kids have got to be getting ill advised. They've got to be, otherwise they wouldn't make irrational decisions the way some of the boys have in like years gone past, and maybe more so currently in terms of the boy Ben Dokes. But obviously Ben, we all thought Ben was going to never see the light of day at Liverpool, especially near the first team, but he's proved everybody wrong, yeah.
Aye, I would say so in terms of the boy Dokes. We kind of seen bits and bobs of him, but I don't know what you feel, Jason. To start off with yourself, what you feel's kind of the burden in some of these young guys, like what holds them back from making it to Celtic? Is it what JP says, mismanagement, or is it maybe just they're not good enough and we think they are good enough? But like JP says, we don't see them behind closed doors. We're only privy to see them at Celtic Park, unless you go to the B team games. And like Ada says, years ago, guys played against reserves and were first team players and were challenged more than they are now in the lower league. What do you think, Jason's the stumbling block for some of the guys? Obviously, they're still done well to make it through Celtic's youth system and go elsewhere, but why do they not stick at Celtic, earn their trade, and then try and get a good move and actually go and make an impact instead of going at an early age? Has it been mismanagement, or has it maybe been ill-advised in terms of the pound signs?
I don't know. I think a lot of it's to do with attitude, because I think attitude's a big thing for managers in the modern day footballer. And I'm just going with, my nephew was at the Jimmy Johnston Foundation thing. It's Dave, they're not together anymore, and that's what the guy that ran that, he's what he said, he's at that. A lot of the boys that don't make it here, it's because of their attitude, and like Tony Watt and all that was at that, and he said it's because of their attitude, because they get to about 14, 15 and they know they're good and they start.
Sorry to cut in there. Is that academy no longer going?
That's nuts. That's folded now, man. He went to Queen's Park.
Really? I thought it was still going.
No, he went to Queen's Park. The guy that was running it. But that was a really good setup. That was a really good setup. That. But I think a lot of it is to do with attitude. I think a lot of it as well is the Scottish culture isn't very good. Do you know what I mean? Because I think you get when you're at 14, 15, you start drinking and doing things you shouldn't be doing. And I'm just speaking from my experience. That's probably what I've done. Do you know what I mean? And I think that could be a factor for as well. But for me, I think a lot it is mismanagement, but I think a lot of it is as attitude, because I think if you look at a lot of the modern day footballer, you need to be, your attitude needs to be there as well. If you've got a bad attitude, or you're not doing the stuff you should be doing off of the park, you're not going to make it. You know what I mean? And how many players have you seen that haven't lived or haven't done the right things off the pitch and they don't make it? You could name so many guys you went to school with that were pro youth, and you're like, that he's going to make it, and then you're that they don't, because of their attitude off the park.
Yeah, I think that's when it comes into family, because when you look at your players like your Tierneys, your Paul Caddises and all that, these are all boys who all had a good family, making sure football was a main priority. I still go with your pals, but being strict on them, don't be going out and being idiots. Whereas if their family's just leaving them to their own devices, it's never going to work out well, is it? They're going to be led by your pals at the end of the day. So
No, and that's it. And you're in a circle, so obviously then as a Wayne growing up, even you've always kind of went with your pals, ain't you? If your pals are doing it, you want to be doing it. You don't want to be looking like the guy that's not cool enough and no that type. But Tierney is maybe different me, like say Tierney, because obviously Tierney came through and was successful with the team, and then obviously was sold on for big bucks. But I know what you're saying in terms of boys who are probably Glasgow boys that, you know, their dads and that have got the heat screwed on right, and they're saying to them, right, make sure you're in at 11 o'clock, don't be going partying to 3 and 4 in the morning and all that, and etc. So I get where you're coming from there, Raider.
Well, you look at it, but right, see, I've seen it. Jordan, the boy that plays for Dundee, Jordan McGee, right? He was at Hearts. There's another boy that we used to hang about with, and the boy that we hung about that I know, my pal, was head and shoulders above that Jordan McGee. But that Jordan McGee made it because he had the right attitude. The other boy didn't, because he was out drinking every weekend. So that's why I think that's attitude's a lot to do with how you conduct yourself.
I think now as well, when you listen to, I watch a lot of podcasts of ex-players under the caution, open goal and all that stuff, and they do say it, some of them during their career they were drinking, and then eventually they get to their 30s and they go, right, maybe I shouldn't have done that because I might only get to 33, 34 and I need to chuck it because I've not lived my life the way I should be. And we all know that we're all human beings, we're all prone to know everybody, but some guys are teetotal, but some guys like a drink, some guys like a pizza, some guys like to do whatever they want. On a recreational basis, you can date now and again, but these guys know when not to do it and when to do it. But I think when you get older, you realise that you need to do these certain things, especially in football, when you want to make it. Because I know for a fact that I was only kind of apprentice with us, all right. But see if you get to 30, see if I knew nowadays what I really had to do. See when I know it might sound over dramatic, right? But see if I was 10, 11, 12, see knew what I know now. I'm not saying about the pound size, but obviously that helps. If I knew that I might have got more money or I might have got more chance of playing things, I might have said to my dad, right, Dad, put weights in my ankles, make sure I eat this, make sure I do this. But back then you were just playing football. You only really think about your diet, or you were obviously back in the days you could. I don't believe fitness comes into it when that age, because at that age you can run all day, you can come back from school, you're out right away, you need dinner, you're right back out again. It's not down to fitness, it's down to just sticking to what you're trying to do and get, like you have said, manage the right way through your career to get to where you want to get to. But I think the reserve league, like you mentioned, mate, I'm a big advocate for bringing that back. I know it's coming back, but I'm sure Celtic, Aberdeen, they're not going to go into it. I don't know if it starts next year or the next year after, but I know Celtic are only going to go into it. I don't know if that's due to Ange or the board. I don't know what it is. If it's offside a meeting that decided basically not to happen. But for me, I'm like you, that I do believe that that's a big thing, because we spoke about it, I think, one of the last pods last week, that just for talk's sake, I don't know if it would ever happen, but just say McGregor's been out for 3 months and he's got to get 90 minutes before a Champions League game. Right, play him on Monday against, just say, St Mirren reserves. Some of these guys that play with Celtic might go, I'm playing with the captain today. He can actually teach him on the park, because I'm always looking at these podcasts, and Simon Ferry always says, he says, Paul Lambert gave me so much advice in 90 minutes than I've learned off some coaches, because he knows the game. He's telling me about to run, when to pass the ball, when to stay. Do you think that that's a big thing that maybe should be brought back for Celtic, or even let first team players play in the B team if possible, because it means they're getting fitness and they're teaching these young guys at the same time?
I think there has to be something in that, because I did, obviously I'm the same as you. I remember all that. When your likes of players were going in and they play so many games with the reserves, and obviously it's good for the young boys. It's good to get yourself back to fitness. It helps the team from start to finish, because if you're bringing players back, you're maybe bringing them back a wee bit too early, whereas you can bring them back in a youth game. There's not as much stress on you. Not a youth game, but a reserve game. There's not as much stress on you, and that helps your first team. It's all, as you say, it's also helping your young boys learning a bit of experience, how the game's going to be played when they take that next step. It's not really. I don't think it'll ever be allowed in the B team to go and play in the Lowland League. I don't think that'd ever come about, but they'd see it as some unfair or whatever. But the return of the reserve league's probably a big one. I think it would be welcomed, but Celtic obviously have their reasons for no wanting to be part of it.
I think JP, like as I says it, I think it would be a good thing. I'm a big advocate for it because I do feel back then that was maybe Celtic's youth system. I know not everybody's come through and played. I know your best guys would have been Maloney, McGeady. I know Ralph has come through. Your Forrests, it's Tierney's. They're probably McGregor's. They're the main ones. Not every guy's come through and been exceptional. But that was not that guys like Simon Ferry and Ryan Conroy. They all talk about how good that youth team was. That they won leagues all the time, like McGlinchey, Gardine. They've all come through had some sort of career, Maestrom. Some have been doing lower leagues, but they've still had some sort of career. I think some guys now, JP, they leave here, they maybe go and this is no offence to these teams, by the way. They might go down to Dunfermline, down to Forfar, and then down to junior football. They don't actually have any trajectory to go elsewhere. Like some of these guys, like Simon Ferry went to Swindon, done well at Swindon, still went to Dundee, still went to these teams. McGlinchey's went, I think, Ross County, etc. I think went down south, down to Australia as well. Gardine, apparently I don't know about the world, but just loved to carry on. It just shows you, JP, that wee small things can make you better. What's your idea on maybe bring that back, and do you think that has a effect on the players now than it did back then?
I would say it's a lot more. When the reserve league used to be there, I think nowadays it's more discipline now than it ever was before. Years ago, it was all right, we got to carry on, but you just never get considered for the first team if that's the type of person you were. Whereas now, I don't think even now there's no room for error now. Now, I don't think the boys are allowed to carry on. I think the coaches are on top of them all the time, and as Ada says at the beginning, I think that's down to Ange and the way he set things up for his come in. Because they play the same way as the first team. So that's how, like before, we've spoke about it, Ryan, like young Local Flex and Cameron Harper, when they came in during the COVID time, they looked physically unable to match what was there already. And we were only playing teams like Livingston and Hibs, and no disrespect to the teams, but it wasn't as if they were being tested by Barcelona, Real Madrid or anywhere like that, but they were coming in and physically they just weren't there. They were getting bounced about like, I don't know, a porno book in Berlin. You know what I mean? They're getting passed about like a joint in the room. So as I said, it was kind of night and day for, and then with the boys that have came in for Ange, especially the boy Ben Dokes, he was only about 15, 16. He looked physically like developed properly enough to come in and hold his own. He was shrugging off challenges and running home with the ball. Big boy Dawson came on against St Johnstone when Kyogo went off injured. He looked physically able to do it. Why? Because they're training the same way as the first team. They're training with the first team as well, which is obviously helping them. But they're also training the same way. That's what I'm saying. He just looks like a big unit, a boy, and he's only, but I think he's just turned 20. So
he's quite ready. Do you know what I mean? That's
what I'm saying. Rocco Vata, he's the same. He just looks physically fit and like ready to go. But in terms of what Ada was saying there with the reserve league years ago used to be a great thing for players like Alan Thompson. We spoke to Tom on here, Brian, and Tom says to us it was a great thing. Coming back from injury, he was able to go and sometimes get a bit of banter with the boys, and you could get away with a lot more away back in the day, but you can't now. I think there's no room for error now, and it's all sheerly discipline now. You're scrutinised on everything you do now. Everything's all down to sports science, numbers. You've got to hit this certain checklist and you've got to pass these numbers. If you don't, then you need to go to the running machines, you need to do that shit. So it's all it's more hefty on them now than what it was before. I'm not saying they don't have a bit of banter and don't have a laugh. They probably do. But they kind of times are probably far and few between, especially on the training field, right? When it's time to roll up the sleeves and get right in about it and a bit of hard work. In terms of there's mega boys who, I know you mentioned boys that have come through and done well. There's more done well than what has actually done well that Celtic have spent time with. Boys like Calvin Miller, Jack Aitchison was another one who showed a lot of promise, didn't amount to anything. You mentioned Ryan Conroy. You've got Graham Carey, who's at St Johnstone now. Marcus Fraser, Rocco Quinn.
Liam Sheridan.
Mark Fotheringham. He was another one as a boy. He's actually just been sacked there with Kenny Miller at Huddersfield as a manager. So a lot of boys have no made it. There's more boys no made it than what have. And in my opinion, maybe even back in the day, I don't know if we had the proper coaching happening. I would imagine now the boys are being coached properly and everything's all set. See, it's all one. It's like a one big machine now. Whereas before you had different setups. So, like say the reserves, like I said to you earlier, the reserves weren't the training the same way as the first team. They had their own wee setup and they were doing it at Barrafield and the training, elsewhere. So it was kind of different. That's why a lot of the boys like Simon Ferry and boys like even Paul Slane, who was signed from Motherwell and brought in, just quite didn't like make a grade because they weren't training the same way, in my opinion, as like the first team were. So when they were coming to the first team manager was going like, what the hell's going on here? Like, what you been doing for the last year and a half? Before I've gave you a shout here. So that's how you hear them have. They obviously have a laugh, and they've probably no regrets about it because they went on to have some sort of a career. But like say the other boys, I would imagine 9 times out of 10, mate. I'd imagine as a young boy, you'd be really disheartened about it, and it would affect you. You know what I mean? And it probably does affect players. That's another side that a lot of fans don't get to see as well. When the youths are moved on, etc., if that's their boyhood clubs, how do you think they feel? Being told deep down, overall, what way you're moving on, it doesn't matter. That means you're no good enough to then play for the team. That you've probably progressed for, just say you've started off, like Cal McGregor and James Forrest have been there for about 9-year-old. So they're far and few between. Why is that? There's got to be an underlying reason as to why it is. Don't tell me they're the only two in that class of theirs were the only two that had natural ability. Or was it down to they were the only two that had the actual scruples to knuckle down? And deep down, guys, I think the majority it's all down to making sacrifices. So no going out with your mates as much, no doing this, no doing that, and applying yourself the right way. I think that comes down to it as well, right?
I would say that as well, mate, because I think these days, like you say, people think they're robots. We've had the luxury, like you say, speaking to some certain guys, and I always remember, Jason, I don't know if you listened to the one we done with Sam a long time ago now, it's about 2 years ago, I think now, and Sam was saying, like, I was running about the Shane Duffy, the 10-0, and he says, guys are getting...
Sam Wardrobe, right?
Aye, Sam Wardrobe. Aye. And he was basically saying, look, us as fans, just obviously stand a Celtic fan, says, but you as fans, somebody could be arguing with his misses that morning or his brain could be no well and he's playing bad, but us as fans think, oh, he's terrible today, why is he not playing well? And he says there's loads of things outside of football that you use on the privilege that you just don't know about, and that's why sometimes as fans, like me now, I can take a back seat now sometimes before I criticise players because I don't know why they're doing well or why they're away. You could also talk about Jack and Marcus as we go on, but why he's away, and there's loads of reasons why things happen. But Jason, what's your opinion on the Reserve League and anything JP Pineda says? Do you agree or does he in it?
I think the Reserve League's better than this league they're in the now, that Lowland League. Because I don't see a bit of purpose being in the Lowland League's really saving them. They win a league and they can't go up. So also what kind of thing that. So but does that mean then teams in that Lowland League that we just need to finish third then? I don't understand that. I think if it's in the Reserve League, they're playing teams that are they're going to be playing teams of their own sort of stature. Do you know what I mean? I think it'd be good. It'd be better for them physically to get used to it. You know, as you say, like if McGregor, when he's come back for his knee injury, see if you're 16, 17 and you're in the reserves and you're playing against him, you're like, playing against the Celtic captain today, and it's the same. I think that's what Larson and all that, they went on to playing in the reserve games. I think you've maybe pulled a wee bit of a crowd. But see what you were saying about, somebody mentioned it, about like having players allowed to go into play in the youth. I'm sure down in England you can do that and with that Premier League for under 23s, because you've got an under 23, like the under 23 Premier League. Is that top? Are you
not allowed to play 1 or 2 overs? Is that right?
Aye, because Poston plays in it for Man U.
I think Jay Speeding plays a lot of Panod, didn't he?
Aye.
I'm sure. Aye.
That's top. Did you say Tom Huddleston?
Aye, he plays for, is it Man U?
Man U. Man U plays for, aye.
He's signed for
Tell
Man
me-
U.
Tell me they're not doing well.
No, he's playing in the obviously reserve league. He can't play with the first team. It's a reserve team contract I've signed.
He
I think-
wouldn't
he's
get a game
coach.
of five.
Aye.
He's
He
like
wouldn't
a
get a game of
coach.
five size with you, man.
But
You play behind, wouldn't you? You wouldn't even phone him. You'd be like, oh, no, we'll play 5 against 4 tonight.
I just think that the reserve league is better. I don't know why they've done away with it. I would like to know what they've done before they put them into the Lowland League, where they're just playing friendlies all the time. But that's not very good for development.
Well,
They
before
did that. It was a full season of just playing friendlies against European sides, and
aye,
How can you develop as a player like that if you're not playing competitive football?
because you're playing against better opposition week in and week out. That's
Are you
probably. But I mean, all you've got to do is look at the results of the Champions League. I mean, what was it? 6 Real Madrid boys took off us, then they took 4 off us earlier, and we were getting downs left, right, and centre. I think they beat Leipzig in one of the 2 ties, and then they beat us in the second tie. That was the only game we won. I think we only took 3 points for it. They actually done better than the first team.
I just think that that could be another reason why a lot of these youth players maybe choose to go down south. Because they're like, well, you're going to actually get a chance of playing competitive football, because that under 23 league, it's competitive football. You're winning something.
And I think as well, down in the south as well, Ada, they take the FA Trophy, the FA Youth Cup dead serious. I think it's a big thing down there. They get big crowds. Very rarely, unless it's Celtic versus other mob, very rarely do you get big crowds. So, obviously, Celtic Park recently there was a few thousand. There's a lot of I know the Hibs team, the youth team, I think it's the female team actually. They get a big crowd, but if that's not a European game, they're not getting crowds. So, but I do agree with JP. So I don't know what you think either about what JP says about maybe if they get released, does it put a damper on their attitude, their mindset? Well, if I've been moved to Celtic, am I going to play elsewhere? Because I can, from my experience, I get released by party official. I get released by letter, and my dad's like, nah, that's not acceptable. You can't. But I don't think that would happen now. But I was for months. My head was away. Like, what am I going to do now? But I think now what they do is, don't quote me on it. I don't know if it's true, but I think if you get released, I think at the end of the season, a full list gets sent out to clubs, and I think you can take them in trial or phone agents, etc. But do you agree with that? That could be a reason why some of these guys who might have talent, they think because they've been released with one team, but they've been maybe there for years, that they might not go to a better team or they might not do anything else because all they had in their mind was to play with Celtic?
I do, because especially for these boys, as you say, who have grew up as Celtic fans or just in general within the realm of Scottish football, I think if you're playing at Celtic and you're sent away, like, if you're sent to a Swindon or a Plymouth or something in a youth team, automatically in your head's already down because you've been released by your boyhood club. You're absolutely scunnered. But now in your head, you're thinking you're no good enough. You're playing for, again in your head, a much lesser team. I think it's hard to bring yourself back up. Like, if you're leaving Celtic, even if you're a Celtic fan, if you're leaving Celtic, if you're like Barry Hepburn and going to Bayern, that's a big step up. That's boosting you, because you're playing for Bayern, even though he's only in the under-19s, I'm sure he's in now. But their youth system in Germany's unreal. And that's a massive step up to Celtic. But if you're going down south and you're playing for one of these League 2 or League 1 clubs and you're playing in their youth system, that's nowhere near what Celtic is or what they envision Celtic should have been. So that keep you down for a long time, and I think it's hard to bring yourself back up for that and play to the best of your ability unless something really special happens.
I think you're right, mate, to be fair. I don't know what you feel, JP, but I know you spoke about it there. But for me, I do feel that it does have an effect on you, because obviously, maybe that's why some of these guys, they make it again, because they've got the mindset, right, I've been released here, right, I'll go somewhere else, prove myself and go back up. But like Ada says, not every person has that, maybe the support there, the guys in the heat, right, listen, it's all right, wee man. I'll take you training, we'll build you up, we'll go somewhere else, we'll go even a boys' club, play football, trying to notice. But I think maybe some guys think because I've left the professional setup that's him finished with football. You can go to a boys' club team, maybe get noticed, and because that's how I get noticed by playing boys' club. I think boys' club, I don't know if it's still, I think the boys' club, I know the 21's rules, the 21 teams are just about, 21's football is nowhere near the way it was when I played. I'm not what I say it's finished, but the standard of play and the way they are, they're not going up to like junior or the pyramid system or League 1, League 2 teams as they were back maybe 10 years ago now. But do you feel that could be a reason why some of these guys maybe don't, I'm not saying they lack the effort, desire to play, but they have that wee bit of mindset like, am I going to go here as well and get released, or is it going to be me finished? Do you think that is a big thing in their mindset?
I think it must creep in, as Ada says, when you it is your boyhood club, when you're training, you're working hard, you think maybe the coaches see that you're not applying yourself, but in your head, you individually, you are. Maybe you're, it could be down to personality, I know, Ryan, it could be down to, maybe you've no got it. A lot of boys are shy, a lot of boys, especially at a young age, a lot of boys don't want to go. I mean, I know back in the day, when I was a wee boy, we were always brought up with respect, mate. Like, I know, like, there's neighbours I still see, like, and we never ever called them their first name. So, like I say, this is just an example. So, I know a guy called Roger Brown, right? Every time we see him, his name, how you doing, Mr. Brown? There's still people I see to this day that stay up beside my mum. And when I see them, I'll go, oh, how you doing, Mrs. Fletcher? Or how you doing, Mrs. I don't know, McIntosh or whatever. I don't call them with it. So, you were brought up with respect, and you were brought up taught never to answer an adult back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the way it was for me growing up. I'm probably showing my age here, I know, by the way, like, because long gone are the days, definitely. But nowadays it's all right, Davey, get in that show for me and get my bucky for me, or you know what I mean? If you don't, you're getting your iPhone took off you and scalped there back of the head with it. But back in the days, if my dad wrapped a pound, he would be picking it on, it'd slap on the back of the head, you know what I mean? But no, as I say, it's down to that as well. So it's down to maybe personality, it could be down to confidence, it could be down to, you know, maybe they've no got it in them to say to a coach, look, where am I going wrong? If it's not working for me, why am I just being released? Why has nobody came and helped me to try and develop? Like, I know me as a person, I've always been a big personality. I'd have been champing doors and saying, right, well, how am I getting released? What do you mean I'm getting moved on to Swindon? I don't want to go to Swindon. I'd have put up a fight about it. I'd have said, right, well, where am I going wrong? What is it I'm not doing that you can see I'm not doing? What is it you need me to do for you? Maryland Airlines and sit around the table with them rather than just accepting it and going, I can't bother. I'll be there now and jumping on the train. But a lot of the young boys maybe become disheartened when it doesn't work out at Celtic. Moving to a new place as well, especially if you're a young Glasgow boy. You move away down to Reading or Swindon or any of the kind of teams, as Ada says, Plymouth. You're like, it's a total night and day culture, a total night and day place. You maybe just right away, you're like, oh, no, I've never been away from home before. You might not settle. I know what Ada was saying in terms of the two boys we lost to Bayern Munich, Barry Hepburn and John Herring. The Bayern Munich setup's night and day for what Celtic can offer them. And I'm not, and Celtic have probably got one of the best setups, if not the best setup in Scotland. But their setup there is totally night and day. And even playing in their reserves or development team, as it's called now, again, you're playing against better quality. I'm not just being rotten. But as a Scottish people and Scottish mentality, I find we're always quite keen to be negative first before we're positive.
Mm-hmm.
You see that a lot, especially in football. Like, oh, it's Scotland, we're not expected to win. It doesn't matter. That's how when we get beat, there's not a big kick up. But if Celtic get beat, we're all doing it to doors. Want to know why? Do you know what I mean? If that happens in a period of time. So it's a lot of it comes down to mindset for me and the way they are. That's how a lot of these, you hear a lot of these clubs now are integrating like, therapy sessions. Like, try to get in the young boy seeds as well and bringing in people for positive talks and life coaches, stuff like that. You know, like people coming in and try to work on your mentality. what you like as a person when you're not here, like who's getting in your nut, who's if you get a bird, is she annoying you? It's all looked at now, it's all different now.
Aye.
Where way back in the day, you were kind of just left to sort of your own devices, and like, you're a man now, son. It's time you grew up. I kind of Roy Keane attitude. No, I'm not here to be your dad. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to help you along, but I'm also here to give you tight if you don't step up to the plate. Because I'd imagine Roy Keane, even if you say the wrong thing to him on Sky, he goes mental. So I'd imagine what it was like as a player. I know you're smiling there, Eda, but he looks like the kind of guy that just rip your head off if you say the wrong thing to him. So I'm actually surprised he didn't lose like Graham Souness during the World Cup, and Souness started arguing with him about that penalty for Argentina.
Brilliant telly, but
super.
See what you're saying, JP, about... Did you watch that thing about Crystal Palace?
No.
I watched a bit, mate. I watched a bit.
And it was about the youth. And they were like that, right?
Last time I watched Crystal Palace, it was by accident, mate.
So it was like, they've got a year. So if they go right at 14, you sign a 2-year deal. First year's all right. The second year for the last 6 months, if you're not doing well, they'll pull you in. They'll go, right, you've got 6 months and you need to, you've got this and this to get done. If you don't do that, then we'll release you. But they'll find you another club. But in between that, they've got people coming in and talking to them, saying, so what is it that you're not doing now? Because that's what they say, the boys that they might be really, really good, and they get to about, then their body starts using it at 14, 15, they can't process in because they've got other emotions and all that, and their game dips a wee bit.
Mm-hmm.
So they're integrating that into it. Do you know what I mean? I just thought it was really, really interesting. I watched it, I was like, wow. Do you know what I mean? But they'll go and they'll find them another club if they don't think they're good enough for them.
No, I'm actually getting to the point now where I think Celtic need to bring in somebody like that, like to speak positively to them, because David Turnbull really annoys me the way he just goes back away all the time in the ball. You need to start being positive, son, and go forward. Apart from shooting, apart from shooting. That's, for me, that's the only time the ball goes forward with him. Every time.
I think somebody.
By the way, it's not one of our goalies got a high pass rate because he passes the ball back to him 9 times out of 10.
Oh, come on, man!
I somebody use
I'm actually at the wind up. The big man's a lover of David Turnbull. I just thought I'd had a wee bit of humour in there with that one, but no. But I think it's a great thing in football, especially a lot of guys in. Externally men's mental health. I think it's a great thing to integrate into football as well, to try and get in the heads and like mental space of where your guys are. And because Fergie was like that and all. Sir Alex, there was a wee number going about for a long time. He used to get the players' mail delivered to fucking Old Trafford because he wanted to know what was going on in their personal lives. He wanted to know, is he in debt? What's he up to? Is he gambling? Is he doing it? I think he knew everything about him if he had domestics, and he seemed to know everything David Beckham used to get up to, I know, because I think that was part of the way him and Beckham's relationship went sour. Because Becks wasn't living his life properly the way he wanted him to off the pitch, which is why I remember he sat on the bench in a big Champions League night. He was sitting up in the crowd. So Fergie didn't care how good you were.
Did they not kick a boot off his seat or something? But
apparently, aye.
That's why they started calling it the hairdryer treatment. He threw the hairdryer, I remember.
See, the thing is though, but right, see if I'm sitting in a changing room and I've got Sir Alex Ferguson talking, I'm totally tuned into what he's saying, and he asked me to do, I'm doing it. So,
but that goes on to what JP says about respect. That some guys, but listen, some of these. Actually, I'm not going to mention the guy's name, but I sat next to the guy at Celtic Park, and it's either his cousin or somebody knows anyway that there's a youth player at Celtic, and he was telling me about it just passed his ass and passed us, and he was telling me his wage, and I'm thinking that's more than I get a month, and he's playing with Celtic. You know what I mean? I'm like, and he's leaving me the first team appearance yet or nothing. I'm thinking that's mental. Because see, if I was getting that, but no, I'd be buying everything, and I'm in a football player. It's like you said, it's all about your mindset as well, and I'm a big believer in that, Jason. Like JP says as well, it's about the way you manage as well, and I do think the way Ange's come in, it's for the first team downwards, it's all the same. And talking about the first team, Ada, the last bit of the pod, mate, the Giacomakis situation, it's done now. He's away to Atlanta and MLS. What's your feelings on that, mate? Because we've spoke about it, no too much, but we're trying to gaff it because obviously it was a big topic, and people, that's all you see podcasts and Twitter, all you see talking about it. But What's your opinions on him as a Celtic player and now he's away? And what do you think's the reason why he's maybe left? Is it due to game time, or do you think it's maybe something behind the scenes?
I don't know. There was a lot of rumours going about him, but there's always rumours. But I do think it was primarily down to game time. I think because when Kyogo was injured and he was getting all the game time and he was doing well, as soon as Kyogo was back in, his first name in the team sheet, which is fine. That's Ange picks the team. Nobody's got any divine right to be the first name in the team sheet. Nobody at all. And I think he moved away from the rumours, but I do think he's kind of went and rapped on his door and says, look, why is this happening? Blah, blah, blah. And then I think it's kind of, in my personal opinion, I don't know what's happened, but my personal opinion is his agent's piped up and something's went down. And Andrew just went, look, that's it. We'll find you a club. Still happy to play you off the bench or play you if you're doing well in training, you can play in the first team. But we'll find you a club and you can move on if that's what you really want.
I don't
think that's far. I don't think that's far for the truth, to be honest.
I think what JP Butida says, I think he's maybe right as well. I do believe there's something there behind it because I don't think he wasn't like he was bombed out. He was still getting some sort of game time. He was starting the odd game. Obviously, people have got their opinions on should we be playing more, should they be two up front, should Kyle be playing. People will get opinions. We've all got different opinions. That's why we love football, because we've all got different opinions in a lot of things. But I do agree with Ada, JP, in terms of game time could have been something. You've heard rumours about him saying that he was maybe due a new deal or a wage rise, if so. And in my opinion, see if he was wanting a wage rise, it was only a few grand. I think he's every right to. He's come in, done well. Maybe he's not on the best of wages. Apparently, it was 12 or 14 grand, whatever he was getting. I've seen them. I don't know if that's true. I don't know.
I wouldn't mind getting that put in my bank account.
No, definitely. But it's Celtic, in my opinion. If you're going to be getting, in my panel, Kyogo is the main man. JP, you know about that and all. You love Kyogo. We all love Kyogo. I believe if Jackie Mark is starting games, he'd be scoring goals as well. I don't see him not doing it because he done it when Kyle was injured. If he was wanting a few grand more, I don't know why. I get it. Maybe either the way Ada says, he's maybe trying to dictate me. Listen, we want this. Basically, take it or leave it and sell it. And Andrew went, listen, you don't dictate to what we're doing. We dictate to you. You're under contract with us. Don't know if that's a reason as well, JP, but I think eventually something will come out eventually because I think it's prolonged too much for it maybe just to be game time. There might be something else. Again, that's just me speculating. That's just me putting something out that I don't know. That's my opinion that maybe what could have went behind something behind closed doors, mate.
Aye, it could have been, Ryan. To me, mate, I find that the whole thing totally bizarre. The way it's all kind of said, it's all stumbled on, and it's kind of had a similarity to Big Van Hooydonk leaving the club. When the Nottingham Forest thing came along, and Ada, you'll probably remember that, and a lot of the rigmarole we went through at the time. Big Van Hooydonk, we heard a lot of rumours then and all, but a wee back then you didn't have like social media and all what you've got now. It was just that teletext you used to go and press that button for, and I know the numbers after that. Actually, do you know how sad that is, by the way? I actually still know the numbers after that you used to type in to get
number
stories on your teletext. It used to be 403, mate. That was a Celtic pitch. Swear to God. No, as soon as you had the teletext, it was 403. That was a Celtic pitch.
I've got a number for 403, but it's no teletext.
No, we know, big man. But it's not that time at night, and we're ready to wrap things up here, big man. And we know that obviously your show's ready to kick off soon, so that's why we're not going to keep you too much longer. But in terms of Jackie Marcus, Ryan, I think there's a lot went on behind the scenes, mate. And there's a lot more to it than what meets the eye. I think, the reason he's not getting a game is because of Eman's, in my opinion, he's better than him. So, first and foremost, to play Angie's style of football, Kyogo's miles in front of him. Miles. He's a big bruiser. He scores goals. Aye, cool. But he doesn't chase. Like I says, you need to set up a mid-press if you play Jackie Marcus for the beginning. He's not as fast and he's... you can't get after teams at the top end of the pitch to play sort of the press for the 9 position onwards, and that brings when Kyogo's there, the rest of them burst into energy. You see Jota and Abada, they kind of burst into life. Whereas with Giakoumakis, they know fine well that, you know, they get forward, but they've then got to get that ball into the box, and it's got to be perfect to be right on a big man's bonnet. If it's no, then, in my opinion, it used to give up a lot for me. He'd chase so far, and then he'd go, I can't be near catching him. And it was just down to, you know, the pace of the big fella. He was a goal scorer, no doubt about it. His one-touch finishes were remarkable. But in terms of the way it's planned out for him, there's something smells in it all with me, and it doesn't smell nice. Like I say, when the World Cup break, a photo appeared on his Instagram. Obviously, I'm not going to say on here what it was, but I potentially think the manager wouldn't have liked that type of photograph to appear on his social media. Now, I'm led to believe Ange isn't on social media, so hence the reason why he made a wee dig about if something happens with the deal, you would find out on Instagram before I do, and he was spot on. Where did we see it? It was on Instagram tonight. So I think something's wrong somewhere along the lines. There's communicational breakdown somewhere. And it probably looks like he's been elbowed out the door more so than he's actually been sold. In my opinion, it looks like he's been bombed out with a manager, and it's not been for nothing. There's obviously been some sort of behind the scene reasons. And I know right now there's a lot of Celtic fans that probably look like us. But that's the nature of it. He was a fan favourite. He was a kind of, you know, people loved him. And rightly so, because he scored goals. But I think you need to do more in this Ange team than just put the ball in the net. I think there's a lot more part of being a team player, etc. In my opinion, I think Kyogo was better at it than Giakoumakis, which is why the big man's away. And obviously then now you've got a boy at 21 and he's signed this big boy O. But that's because he was proactive enough and he saw us coming for a distance.
Is he only 21?
He's just turned 21 before he signed for us, aye. He's just turned 21 just before Christmas. So
that's incredible.
He's a big unit boy. I watched him. He came on against Livingston, and I got a close look at him then. He's actually got the same physique as Carter Vickers. His shoulders are sensational. What a size! Unbelievable.
You should have given you watching, big man.
No, I was. That's him. He's rubbing off on me.
Those telesex numbers again.
No. By the way, I don't actually have a camera with me, to be fair, so I've not even got any proof of that. But
the baby boy on that out, I know, aye.
Aye. I came home right away and had to wipe the sweat off my brow. That wasn't because of the scoreline. But no, as I say, it was I think the Giakoumakis thing, to be honest, I'm glad now there's clarity and it's ended now and we can move on. No, I don't think he was one of the main men of the team either, but that's just my thoughts, Brian, personally.
And yourself, Jason?
I think he's probably. I think I want to do with the game time, but I think he said I definitely think there's been some words exchanged, and I think I'd just been like, would you know what, you can go. I personally think that he probably should have been given more game time. No, that I'm not saying Kyogo's bad. That's not what I'm saying, but I think he merited a run in the team. I think he probably felt that last year when he came in, he was scoring the goals. He deserved a run in the team himself, and it never expired to be that way. And maybe he's just been like, no matter what I do, I'm not going to get a fair crack at this. So it's best I move on. Or as you are saying, he's been at the end and he's been like, well, I want this much, and Ange's been like that all day. And well, there's a door. You know, so we'll probably never really find out, but.
You're never holding a big man to run so much for sure, mate. He's not that type of character.
You know what I mean? That's it. And if he said it before, he'll not force people to stay here. If they want to stay here, they'll stay. If they don't, then they'll go.
And I think, to be honest, I think it's a great example for the team too, Jason. The fact that he's laid down that marker now, so the rest of them now, who have any aspirations of maybe moving on or whatever, they'll know how to go about it and deal with it maybe a different way. Because I
don't agree with Giakoumakis putting the stuff on Instagram and all that. I think that's what you do when you spit the dummy out.
Nonsense.
Mhm.
That's the side of it that I think's no went in his favour as well. I think that's got a large part to play in it. So
Because that boy Robertson done it, I know. And he did I get that. He went, well, he shouldn't be going about saying stuff to the papers then, should he?
he done an interview with the Sun. It was. He said to the Sun, "I'm not going to be here anyway." And
he's later. He was about to Fleetwood. So there you go.
Aye. No, I think I agree with Freeze in terms of there's definitely something to do with game time and maybe something else. The last word to yourself, Ada, what's your thoughts of Celtic so far this season, mate?
Unreal, man. Especially since the World Cup. Absolutely phenomenal, man. I don't think there's really been a player in the team that you can pick out and say they've no performed since the World Cup. Everything just went swimmingly. Our performances have been probably the best as what they've been since Hans got here. Absolutely brilliant to watch, man.
No, I agree. I think we all agree with you, mate, that it's probably the best Celtic team we've maybe watched in terms of the way we play, how quick we are. And I know you don't want to, you've not got every divine right to win any football game, but the way we are playing, touch wood, we do it on Saturday, but you don't see how we're going to either drop points or lose a game. You just can't see it now how well we're playing.
Careful. The last time you said that, we were on a St. Martin podcast.
I don't think
we're not making that mistake again.
I don't think we're going to St. Martin podcast on Saturday because I'll speak about that in the Go Rush show on Friday.
Ada, I know you're laughing there, just to fill you in quickly. Ryan said this the night before we played St. Mirren, the game they beat us at St. Mirren. And we ended up on they took that caption, St. Mirren podcast took the caption and played it right after the game. And we were
That's it, mate. At least I listen to that. I mean, some fans listen to Celtic podcast. That's a new one, isn't it? But again, Ida, thanks for joining us, mate. It's been good to chat to get your opinions. JP, Jason, again, good to get your smiley faces back on. Again, if anybody likes the content, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just tick the wee red bell on the YouTube and subscribe, and you'll get all the latest videos, short videos, and anything we post in the community bit as well, which we always use to update the listeners. What's happening obviously every day in the Go Rush updated table as well. Myself, Jason and JP, we're on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. You'll get the podcast on that as well, and the man Ada, he's on his TikTok as well, so give him a wee follow on TikTok. Also, if you've got any queries about the podcast, myself, JP and Jason, we're easy approachable men, shall I call us. Anything to do with mental health, you just want a chit chat about Celtic, anything at all, give us a wee message on any of the platforms or on YouTube as well, in the community bit. We'll happily have a wee chat, each watch off our chat as well. But on that, lads,
just before we go, I'll be back on Friday, guys, folks, for those watching us. I'll be back on Friday with the Friday Go Rush show, so I will see you all then. But it's been a pleasure, Ada. Cheers again, mate, for coming on.
Thanks very much, mate.
A massive hail to everybody that's been watching us. Thanks for all the comments. Sorry I've not managed to get through everybody's comments, but sometimes when we're having a gab, that's what takes over instead of the comments. So again, guys, thank you very much. Hail to yous.
Hail, take care. A big milestone for the captain as well. Considering obviously where we were a wee while ago, didn't know who the captain was going to be. A few, including myself, wasn't sure, but McGregor, I was kind of saying Julian and all that, and you weren't really sure who was going to come in as manager to start off with, and then who would be the captain. Obviously, because let's be fair, anybody who follows Scott Brown, it's always going to be a hard task to follow the way he was as a person, as a player, and as a captain.